This is the Chris Project, where we discuss mental wellness, self-awareness, and mindset with entrepreneurs and experts. Set your perceived ideas and biases aside, and let's go on our journey for yourself, for your family, for the world.
Welcome to another episode of the Chris Project. I am your host, Christian Brim. Joining me, Chaz Wolfe. Chaz, welcome to the program.
What's up? How we doing? Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. I forgot to ask what company you wanted me to associate you with. So
yeah, Gathering the Kings is the name of our coaching business, where we help entrepreneurs build a business that runs without them so their family never has to.
Oh, there's so much in that statement. Okay, I'm going to start with, why did you choose the name Gathering the Kings?
Yeah, because it's an action. It is something that we are doing. It's not a name; it's a verb. Process of gathering ones that have impact over others, families, businesses, communities, process, money, flow. I mean, you name it. A king is someone who rules well. There's been some bad kings in our day, but generally, this is someone who takes responsibility for the power that they hold. And I think by gathering those people together, whether it be in a group format or an event, or even in a one-on-one coaching scenario where we're trying to grow their business or their mindset or their business system or whatever, I think that conversation sounds different between kings, and I anticipate that here today as well.
Yes, I think one of the themes of leadership is that, if you're going to be true to leadership, is that it is lonely, because although you can surround yourself with people, ultimately the decisions you make are yours.
Yeah.
And they impact others, and so that's a lonely place a lot of times. And I think that the more that we engage with others that are equally yoked and like-minded, it doesn't necessarily make the decisions easier, but I mean, they're still complicated, they're still impactful, they're still dangerous.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's just the comfort of knowing that you're not alone.
Yeah. It's a sense of normalcy, is what I have found, is that when you make a crazy move as a business owner, in your world, typically it's crazy because everyone else around you is going, you're doing what? Or, you're giving up what? Or, 1 month you might have the worst month ever, and they're like, oh my gosh, you did what? And then the next month you have your best month ever, and they're like, oh my gosh, you made what? So like, just no one relates. And then you step into a room where that this is just regular life. You're like, oh, this is not an up and a down scenario. I should actually hold no emotion towards this at all, other than the fact that this is just how I'm built. This is just what we do. People like us. Mm-hmm. And so when you have a sense of normalcy, you can build some confidence around like, oh, like I'm actually on the right path. I'm not odd. I'm not alone. Maybe you're alone, at times, but that like in the ecosphere, you're not alone. There's other people like you.
Yeah. And I experienced this just this morning. I was talking to my integrator, and I said, look, I need you to be brutally honest with me. And she goes, well, am I not normally? And I'm like, yes, you are, but I don't want you to hold anything back, right? Yeah. Like, I want you to, not hold anything in reserve in your answer.
Yeah.
And I said, because I've done one of those entrepreneur things where I'm like flipping the tables over and saying, we're going to change the business completely.
Yep.
And I'm like, do you see it? Because the last 120 days as a leadership team, we've been working on the roadmap, and we haven't even started implementing it, and we haven't rolled it out to the rest of the team. But I was like, do you see it? Do you see what I see? And do you believe it?
Yeah.
Because I had this moment of doubt of like, maybe I am just in my own head, and I've got this. I've drank my own Kool-Aid, and I'm just saying these things, right? And no one's pushing back and saying, the emperor's not wearing any clothes, right? And she was very honest with me, and it was comforting. But the reality is that visionaries, entrepreneurs, live at least some of the time in the future, and seeing what others can't see, seeing what's possible, and dealing with reality at the same time is really a struggle. I mean, it is for me. It has been. Like, you can become completely delusional and ignore reality, right? That's something that's happened to me. Like, just living in the future entirely, and you're like, dude, the ship's sinking. Like, you're not. Yeah. Right.
Come to.
Right. But then I've also swung around where I have, I've held back the vision because I was afraid. Like, because I knew that if I put it out there and I committed to it, that it was going to happen. And I didn't know that I wanted to go down that road.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've experienced both of those. The interesting piece that was coming up in my mind as you were saying that, Christian, is that we use a tool called the predictive index, and I've gotten good enough to where what you just described, I can see on a graph. And that especially the piece where it's like we're living in the future, a little bit of loss of sight of what's happening today, because for most entrepreneurs, that's the Achilles heel, right? It's I can see it so clearly, no one else does, and so then therefore they don't know how to reverse engineer it and or communicate the reverse engineered steps. So then therefore not the right action or enough action is taken today to get us to where we want to go.
Correct.
And so then the ship sinks, or a version of that. And it always just becomes this thing that's out there that we talk about but never actually happens, and then the people around us kind of just write us off as dreamers, not doers, because of that gap that we've just described right there.
Yeah, and there's a difference, at least it was for me, when like I was the one that was driving the vision, and like I kind of drug everyone along with me.
Sure.
But you reach a point where you can't do any more with your own energy, your own time.
Yeah.
And you have to build a team to take it to the next level. And I sat for probably 3 years in a fairly profound execution gap, where, I'd say, this is what I want to do, and we'd agree to it, and then we wouldn't make progress towards it, right? And a lot of it, honestly, to your point, was I didn't have a whole lot of clarity around what I wanted. I thought I did.
Yep.
Right? But it took some tough times of non-execution to realize, like, this isn't really what I want.
Yep.
And I'm kind of like hedging on what I really want. Like, if I could do it, this is what I'd do. I wouldn't do this, I'd do that. But that scared me. And as I went further into it, I'm 56. I'm like, you've got a path here where you can take this business and you could spend the next 10 years, optimize, squeeze all the profit out of it, and probably sell it to a PE, and live a happy life. But I was like, I'm not done yet. I'm like, there's something more than just that. And putting that on the table and risking it was like pretty terrifying. I mean, it's still terrifying. We haven't even gotten to the execution part, but like just going through the process of the roadmap, I'm like, holy shit, this is a lot more than I even thought.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always more than we think. It's always more time, more money, more effort. But good for you for actually being able to sit with what you want. Because what I just heard you say is that you're a builder, and a lavish life or like the perfect utopia is actually not what most entrepreneurs are after. We might be after a little freedom.
Sure.
Which obviously we get choices and freedom with some more cash, but generally speaking, we're builders. We love the game. And I think, at least for me, the game is how long can I play, not how much can I amass. Although I think that there's different scorecards, sure.
Sure.
I look at, regardless of what you think of our current president, he's a builder.
Yes.
And I look at people like that and I go, I can only hope that I'm his age with the energy and the passion and the excitement and the desire to get up and conquer, because otherwise to me, I feel like the game would be over. And then it's just like, I don't know about that.
Yes. As a quick aside, I don't know why I'm asking this. You brought up Trump, but I'm going to bring up Elon Musk. Did you remember? I did not. That Elon Musk was in Iron Man 2.
Oh, I did not know.
He had a cameo in there, and
really?
And I was rewatching it, and he's in that. Huh. And Tony Stark and he are chatting.
He's kind of like the live version of Tony Stark,
right? Exactly. Well, this was 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty wild.
Some foreshadowing.
It really was kind of weird. And my wife was like, oh, yeah, I knew he was in that. I'm like, you're so full of shit.
Yeah,
anyway,
no, I didn't know that.
I was reading on Substack somebody's note, and they were talking about having the freedom of time. And I think freedom of time and freedom of money have to coexist, because if you just have time and no money,
right.
that's
you're 22,
right? Exactly, right, right. But a lot of entrepreneurs end up with freedom of money but no time,
right?
And he put that out there of like, people are uncomfortable in that freedom of time. And I made the comment, there's a quiet terror in that freedom of time at this point, not at 22, right?
Sure.
Yep. And I did find myself there, and that was part of the reason why I was in that execution gap with my team, was because I had built this business where it wasn't dependent upon me. And I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an identity position.
100%.
And
that's what I ended up coming to grips with, was that my identity was deeply entwined with the success of the business, and that was not healthy.
Yeah.
But I had to get to that quiet place to hear it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the quiet place, yes, can reveal what the identity truly was that we weren't, available to see. But then it can also identify what we talked about a few minutes ago of like the identity of a builder, which is that sometimes the quiet represents lack of purpose. And it doesn't have to. Those aren't equivalent, because sometimes it takes quiet to then deepen the identity or go to the next level, which I'm 100% a fan of. But I think that when especially an entrepreneur, you are wired a certain way, and we're very purpose-driven people typically. Now, the intentions that we live by inside of that purpose, that's a whole nother question. It's kind of like the execution of the dream, right? It's just a whole nother level. But generally speaking, we want to do good, and we want to do. We want to be impactful and purposeful. And so in the quiet or in the slow, although there can be purpose in it, a lot of entrepreneurs lose their purpose because of what you said. Their identity was wrapped up in the doing or the business success or the money, which is just a great opportunity to find the next version of yourself. But it usually means, at least for guys like us, it's on to the next thing that we'll build, that will impact something or someone.
Yeah. Yes. And once I started going down that road, and I I saw a very strange convergence of technology in my industry and saw what I thought was possible. And I literally had to I was at a seminar with Christopher Lockhead. He was running, and I literally had to get up and walk out of the room because I was terrified. I was like, holy shit. Because what I thought was like 100 times bigger.
Sure.
But I didn't see it, right? And then I was like, I don't want that. Like that's right? I just wanted this. This was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Christopher Lockhead?
I've heard the name a couple times, but I'm trying to, in my mind, I'm trying to associate it as you were saying that.
He's the category design guy.
Okay.
He was a CMO in Silicon Valley for a long time. He's maybe 60. He's a little older than I am.
Somebody different. The thing that, I don't know, that you've said a couple times, when you can see it bigger than what it was originally,
Yeah.
That's exciting, but at the same time, too, I think that the responsibility of power goes back to my definition.
100%.
You see that and you're like, oh man, I would fill in the blank, right? I'd be famous, or a lot of people would know me, or I'd be held to whatever the responsibility of power looks like in that vision. And that's the part that you go ooh, I don't know. Do I want to carry that weight? It's kind of a funny. I elk hunt in the West, bow elk hunt typically.
Not in Kansas City.
Not in Kansas City.
Not a lot of elk in Kansas City.
No, not a lot of elk there, or here. But I've been 2 miles in on a wilderness trail, set up camp, and then another 5 miles further back with an opportunity. My bow pulled back, and I've got a bull elk in my sights, and the question of, do I even want to harvest this right now? Because I know as soon as he goes down,
you don't.
The amount of work that it's going to take to get that animal processed and back down the mountain and then back down to the truck 7 miles from where I stand today. And I go, maybe I'll miss.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing you're talking about.
Right. And my father-in-law, he's, I think 83 now, 84. Okay. But about 5 years ago, he was in his late 70s. He had both of his knees replaced.
Wow.
And that next hunting season, he went out. He lives in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, and had his elk tag. And he went out and killed a 700-pound bull, field dressed it, and hoofed it back with 2 brand new knees. He had them both done at the same time. I'm like, you're a psychopath. In any case, but back to your point. When you're young, you don't ask those questions. Yeah. What's it going to cost?
Right.
You don't know to ask that question.
What's the next step? What's going to happen after this? What's the ripple effect?
Right. But when you've been through some shit and have some experience, you're like, And I realized my personal experience with this was I'm a private pilot, and about halfway, 3/4 of the way through my initial flight training, I was on a solo cross country. I got into some rough, it wasn't that rough. It was turbulence.
Sure.
And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, if I get back on the ground, I am never getting into, I'm never flying again. I don't want to do this. I'm not interested, right? I get down. A couple days later, I'm like, I really need to finish, right? And I went through the rest of my flight training knowing that I was never going to fly, but I couldn't quit.
Yep.
And I noticed this characteristic about myself that thing that made me really good as an entrepreneur in the beginning of I can't quit, I can't stop, I can't let go.
Yep.
Was no longer serving me.
Yeah, 100%.
And, being able to put that down and say, if it's not serving you, why are you letting it run your life? There's no reason for you to continue doing this. Why are you doing it?
Yeah. Yeah, it happens every single day. The skill. I just did an event in Cancun I mentioned, but it was our family mastermind, and we do a business day, and we do relationships. Speakers for relationships. We do some sessions for the kids, teach them how to think like an entrepreneur and investor, and this concept of like the things that made me great in business, my risk tolerance, my drive, my push, have those eroded certain things in my family. And the answer typically is yes, because most entrepreneurs don't quote unquote know how to turn it off. And my message to entrepreneurs is don't. You're crazy. You're amazing. You have this intensity for life. Don't turn it off when you come home to your family or to your wife or to your husband. You just got to redirect the energy. To your point, this hold that you had, like I can't quit. I don't know how to let this go, is actually the right type of energy. That's what a winner feels like. Tim Grover describes it as a cleaner in his book Relentless. Like these are just people that it doesn't matter the circumstances. I will win. Period. There is no more to the sentence or paragraph or book. And that person is what you described. I don't know how to lose. I don't know how to let go. I learned how to redirect that energy to go like, oh, it's not my effort anymore. It's now building a system, building a frame, building people, building leaders, building a team. And I obviously you've spoken to these things, so you know how to do this, and you probably do it with your clients too. But it's just a redirect. I can go, the same. This is the same lane of information, but chapter 11 of Think and Grow Rich, sex transmutation, kind of a weird topic to talk about on a business podcast, but it's the exact same thing that we're talking about. Saying most unbelievably successful men are incredibly highly sexed individuals. What that means is that they want to do it a lot. Fantastic. There's a certain energy that comes with that. Great. So I personally love to have sex all the time and lots, but could I learn how to recognize that energy and go like, ooh, I'd love to have sex with my wife right now. But instead of doing that right this second, I'm going to utilize that energy and redirect it. It's the exact same principle that we're talking about all across the board.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was a lot of understanding why I do things, like that self-understanding of like, why do I think what I'm thinking? Why do I feel what I'm feeling? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And I suppose some of that just comes with age. But, it is that recognition that who you are and those characteristics are immutable. Like you can't turn it off, to your point. My wife, I remember early on, was like, why are you doing more? Like, is this not enough? And I had, I don't know if it was temerity or stupidity to say, well, did Rembrandt quit painting? Did Mozart quit composing? Like, no, that's just who they were, right?
Yep.
But you have to understand that about yourself, and then have that ability to really sit with something before you embark on it, to count the costs, to understand what you're committing to.
Yeah. Because when we commit, we're all in.
Exactly.
I don't know how to let go. I don't know how to lose. If I'm going in, I'm black and white. It's all in or I'm all out.
You're right.
Which I think is what gives our obviously kind of like intense, aura about us, the presence. But then it's also the reason why it's at least at this stage, it's easy for me to say no, because when I look at something, I go, oh, well, that's cool, but that doesn't get me what I really want. So I just say no. And be like, well, I did, well, actually, thanks, but no thanks. It's just really, really easy to say no, yes, and then I'm all in. And, I think a lot of entrepreneurs in general are like that, but it's the sub point there is in learning what do you really want, like you mentioned earlier, so that way you can apply that to your decision-making filter each day. It's funny how you were talking about, the ability to still want more, and how people who don't relate to that, your wife, my wife, many others, and it's like our desire for more to them speaks ungratefulness of what's current, or an unsettling, like it's not good enough. And I don't know about you, but that's not the case for me. And I created this phrase for our clients. This was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but just grateful but not done. And that phrase embodies this, like, I can be here in the moment, which most entrepreneurs actually struggle with. And so that there's kind of two parts here: is being able to be present with those people that are more present than typically we are, with circumstances, being able to reflect back and go like, wow, I have come a long way. It's the gap in the gain type of reflection. And being able to go like, oh man, like, this is good. Like, I've done a good work, or we've created a good life, or we've raised amazing children, or look at the team, look at the impact, whatever. But I'm not done. And that part is unrelatable to those that don't feel that way. But forever since I created that phrase, as soon as I say it, and the other person knows it, feels it, they're like, oh, that's good. Yeah. Simple as it is, grateful but not done. Because of what you just described. I will fight for more until I no longer have life in these lungs, because that is just how I've been created.
Yeah. I'm going to pivot here, going back to your story that I read before the show. You talked about how starting out that your focus, and I don't think you didn't use the word obsession, but your commitment to work was not healthy for your family.
Sure.
What you mentioned I think it was like your wife was getting portraits for the kids. Like, what was that slap in the face of like something's not right?
Yeah. The general sentiment that you're describing is my obsession, my all-inness, this black and white stuff that we were just talking about, coupled with most entrepreneurs. In fact, it's about 85% of wealth is generated in the first generation. So it means most entrepreneurs who have done anything successful, it's because they did it themselves and they weren't handed it. Subconsciously, we are trying to provide financially. We're trying to provide security. We're trying to do the things that our parents or grandparents weren't able to do. And so those two things coupled together, this obsession, all-in nature versus, and then mixed with trying to accomplish things that have never been accomplished before, typically has a way of blindsiding us to all of the things. And in fact, actually, it's how the brain works. It's what focus is. It's I'm going to go all in, and by the definition of blinders, everything else gets cut out. And I don't think necessarily that's wrong. I think that there's seasons, and then there's really good communication that comes with that, especially with the family. And so, yeah, for the first, probably 7, 8, maybe even 9 years of our business career, so this would have been 12-ish years into marriage, I'm just all in, and we're having babies at the same time, and like that's an overwhelming thing in itself. And there was a period of time there where my wife would have told you that she felt like a single mom, even so much to the so where she had family photos taken of us. Unfortunately, that wasn't the slap in the face. It was, looking back at it, I go, ooh, that was probably the moment that I should have felt the slap in the face.
Right.
But it wasn't really until just later of me just going like, oh, like, I grew up single mom family. And she said she feels like a single mom. Like, first off, how dare she? Because she's not a single mom. And like, I don't know how my mom did it at all. And you've got me, my kids have a dad, like, come on. But then once I, let the ego down and like actually let the defense, out of the way, then I was like, okay, what I'm really hearing her say is that we're not doing this together. I'm over here in my lane, she's over here in her lane, and we're building separately, and we need to build together. And for an entrepreneur, that doesn't mean necessarily that I spend 8 hours a day with my family and then less time at work, although it can. Again, if we go back to building systems and people and leaders, like, you can have time freedom. But for builders, just spending more time with the family isn't necessarily going to like scratch the itch,
right?
Get the thing done. Building your family will, though. I had this moment. My second daughter, who's 10 now, she was probably 3 or 4. She wanted me to play Uno with her, and I was like, okay, we'll play Uno, and so it's her, and and actually she may have been a smidge older and my son was maybe there. I can't remember exactly, but I'm playing Uno with very young kids, not jazzed about it at all.
Right.
And I had this like epiphany moment of like, oh, if I'm a builder, going back to the identity, if I'm a builder, then playing Uno is not playing Uno. I get to use this frame called an Uno game to build my daughter, to build my son. I'm just talking to his nervous system at that point. He's not even here consciously. So what can I do? I go, we can frame up the game. We can talk about attitude. We can talk about winning and losing and like all these things that need to go into this human. And then now it's like, oh, now I get excited about that because that's building, right?
Right.
Now I have
It's not a distraction.
Not a distraction.
Right.
It's not something that I have to do. I get to do this because this is my daughter. Ooh. So again, making it purposeful, making it identity-based is a big part of what we've talked about here today. But for me, I didn't understand early on, because of the blinders, because of the all-inness, how to have that same level of obsession or, identity with purpose for my family. But once you understand that, like if you just rewind what we've just talked about here and just hear that one more time, talking to the listener, and go like, oh, I don't actually shut it off. I just come home with the same level of intensity to build my daughter or build my marriage, and I can get really, really intentional about the actions that I take, just like in the business. Because if I want a new sale, what do? I've got to have outreach, and then those set appointments, and then we close a deal or whatever that sales process looks like over there. So, okay, great. So if I'm not reaching out to anybody, how am I going to get a deal? Well, I'm not. If I'm not XYZing over here with my marriage or kids, then how are we going to get a deal, or how are we going to move them forward? Well, you're not. Once you get that, though, it's actually pretty easy.
It seems like, my experience with my own marriage and, viewing my colleagues over the years, that entrepreneurs have a pretty abysmal record with their marriages and families. You've described something that I think is very eloquent, a very eloquent solution. What does it take to get them to see that? How do you get them the proverbial horse to water?
Yeah, well, I think first off, you have to talk to the deepest seated why or purpose or identity, kind of all in the same little bucket here. And if someone says that they're doing it for their family, like I did for so many years, it's a really easy question to say, okay, great. And so you're doing it for them so that they can live a great life without you? So the very thing that you are building for them keeps you from them? The very thing that you built for freedom doesn't give you freedom? Interesting. And, most people go like, well, okay, like start the the defense starts to deteriorate, And then it's just a matter of desire. Again, going back to Think and Grow Rich, the first principle is desire. If you have no desire, if you have no burning flame, then good luck. I don't know what to do for you. And so if you're not just lip service that you are building the business so that it can serve your family, or that you are building a life for your family, and that's not just lip service, and that's real desire, then I can speak to that, and I can show you the aha moment of going like, oh, I get it. Just for example, like in this last event, we just came back from Cancun a couple days ago, and I'm sitting in a room there's probably 50 people, 50 adults in the room, and my wife and I are going through the family operating system. And well, what's a family operating system? Well, what's a business operating system? We've got meeting cadence, we've got ownership of who owns what, and what role do I have? What are the KPIs associated to such? How is it measured? Who keeps me accountable? And so, guess what? Your family works the same way, although nobody does it. And so I'm talking about like basic stuff to me of like who owns the dishes. And as basic as that sounds, hardly anybody talks about it, let alone maps it out on an operating system. Now, the dishes aren't that big of a deal, but it can't be both of us. Now, I can be a support player, but someone's got to own it. Do we let anybody in our businesses? Are there two people that own a task?
No, never.
Well, why not?
Because then nobody does.
Because then nobody knows or does it. Why don't we operate like this inside of our families? So once you can kind of make the correlation between like what you do in your business can be done in your family, and then actually your family is why you started this whole thing to begin with. You've just been giving lip service this whole time. It's like, oh, got it.
Yeah, and you talked about the intent and the desire, and I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, I don't know if this is a nature nurture question, but regardless, I don't think that a lot of entrepreneurs really ever ask themselves what's driving them, what is their intent, right?
Yeah.
And they might have a surface level answer,
Right.
which sounds responsible, of like, I'm doing this for my family and financial security, et cetera.
Yep.
But that's not necessarily the answer, right? So you mentioned about overcoming financial insecurity, maybe in your family of origin or your extended family, and like, I don't want to be like that.
Right.
I think that a lot of us go through life with these programs running that are motivating us, are causing us to think, act, and do things without ever really questioning them, like
100%.
right. And I don't know,
to the tune of about 95% of your actions.
Right. And so, how do you get people to reflect on that?
Well, you don't. The Bible says for the one that has ears to hear or eyes to see, right? Like, I had a mentor, I don't know, this was probably 5 years ago now, and we did some really cool brain subconscious training, and I'd been doing that for 10 or so years before I met him, and he just was able to kind of just take what I had been learning, kind of self-implemented and take it to the next level, which is super cool. But he shared something. He's like, Chaz, what I have learned in working with, I would say, incredibly successful individuals is that more success is just a mere preference for most. It's just a mere preference. Of course, everybody wants more success. And that might be in their family, it might be financially, whatever, right? Whatever their seed, their deep why. But it's just a preference, meaning like, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. Like, I'm good. I'm happy with where I'm at, in essence. And a very small percent, like 2% or less of the people, demand more. And that message, the message that he was sharing with me around subconscious brain training, the message that we're talking about right now of like being able to reflect on like who you really are made to be, what your identity is, how that ties into your vision, and like reverse engineering that back into daily actions that you hold yourself and your team and your system accountable for. Like, I don't know, if there's 10,000 people listening to the show right now, maybe a handful, but they're going to hear it. For the ones that have ears, they're going to go, oh my goodness. I knew there was a way. I knew it. Freaking Christian, he knows it, And so that's all it is. I think guys like you and I just keep talking, and the right one's here.
Yeah, I think that's largely why I do this show, is because for those people that will hear it, it will help, and I'm very aware that most people will hear it and it won't crack the surface.
Yep.
And I guess you're right. Like, I mean, the old Chinese proverb of when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
100%.
So,
yeah, I spoke to a room of plumbers. This was back October last year, so 8-9 months ago, and there was about 100 guys in the room, and I was like, look, guys, statistics tell me this: 2 of you are going to do something with this, not just with my talk, but with the weekend. The rest of you, you're going to go home. It's going to have been a fun weekend. You're going to have met some cool people, and you won't do a darn thing. And just last week, there was a gentleman who was in that room on this family mastermind with me because he reached out and said, "Hey, I got to bring my family on that trip." And I barely even talked about it in that room. But he said to me, he's like, I don't remember everything you said, but I remember you said something about there was only going to be 2 people in the room, and I told myself, I'm going to be freaking one of those 2 people. Those are the ears that we're talking about. When someone hears that and goes, "Oh, well, that won't be me." Oh, watch. I got my notepad. I got my notes. I know exactly. In fact, I've already translated it from my notes into my calendar for Monday morning. I recognize it's only Saturday night and I'm still at the event, but I've already got this stuff planned out. It's on my calendar. I've already got meetings scheduled with my team, X, Y, and Z. From learning to implementation, there is no gap for the ones that are ready to hear and to be the next level. That's all leveling up really is. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, and you're right. I mean, the Pareto principle and its fractal nature is ubiquitous in human behavior, and 20% of the people produce 80% of the results, and 4% produce 50%, and on and on it goes. And people look at the distribution of wealth and they're like, well, that's outrageous. And I'm like, that's human nature.
Lines up just
that's
about
all. That's all of the 6,000 years of human history. Yeah. Is that right there? You're not changing it. You can't change it.
Nope. Figure out where you add value, and you will be measured accordingly.
100%. Chaz, how do people find out more about your retreats and Gathering the Kings?
Yeah, gatheringthekings.com is our website. You can take a look at some of the events we've done in the past and or our coaching options there. We work with folks in a group setting as well as one-on-one, but our clients are down to earth. A lot of times blue collar business owners, but they want to grow something that gives them both the time and the money freedom, mostly because they're family, but I think that the game, like we talked about, is what we're all after. We love the game, and we love to be around people that love the game. So if that's you, go to gatheringthekings.com and figure out if we're part of your next level or not.
I love it. Listeners, we'll have that link in the show notes. If you like what you've heard, please rate the podcast, share the podcast, subscribe to the podcast. Until next time, remember, you are not alone.